Shedeur Sanders and Malik Nabers linked up in New York City for the Heisman Trophy ceremony. They hopped in front of a bodega in the NY City streets, and they were throwing the football. And there were a lot of questions as to how did these guys get together? Why did they get together? And maybe did they talk about playing with each other for the New York Football Giants? Well, Shedeur Sanders, he went on his podcast, and he spoke about the interaction with Malik Nabers. And I just want to say this. I was very impressed by the way Shedeur Sanders really gave some advice to Malik Nabers to how he can handle the media a little bit better. And you don't really hear that too often from a guy in college telling someone in the pros that. This is what Sanders said, quote, "We were just sitting there talking just about life, just about everything. And we just went outside and you're throwing a ball. I feel you, it's a tough situation that he was put in, and I feel like they are trying to paint him a certain way because I say he gives them an opportunity to do that. So we just had a conversation. Like I recently went through the same stuff with the media and with everything to where I got to understand there's some things I can say and it's some things I can't say. And look, this is impressive stuff for a guy that is still a college football player, but that is really the overhaul and the change that we're seeing in the college football landscape. These guys are professional athletes. They're under the microscope. Shedeur Sanders has made millions of dollars while in college football, and he has been media trained since he was a kid due to the fact that his dad is Deion Sanders. And I've wondered for a long time if Shedeur could be a guy that could thrive, not just for the New York Giants, but in the New York media, the media capital of the world, the most pressure-packed media spot for all of professional sports. And I've always wondered that maybe he can't, and he's going to make it too much about him, and maybe he's too immature. And you know what? I feel like I'm wrong. The more I've listened to people that know him, more that I've watched him speak, more that I've seen him do other shows, and really just gotten to understand what this guy is about, which is just football. This guy loves football. I think he would thrive. This guy has been under the microscope his entire career. His recruitment was under the microscope as he was going to follow his dad to Jackson State. Then it was under the microscope when they went to Colorado, and maybe he put the microscope on himself being Deion at Colorado, but it was there, and it was a pressure-packed environment, and all eyes of the college football world were consistently on the Buffaloes. And Shedeur Sanders, every single time he stepped up to the plate, and he shined in those big moments. And this is a guy that's already giving advice to Nabers, saying, you were kind of saying things to let people paint you out a certain way, which I don't have a problem with anything Malik Nabers has done outside of going to the concert when he was missing practice. Maybe he didn't handle that correctly, or maybe he did. It's in the past. But I like the idea of Sanders being wise beyond his ears and potentially being the quarterback to link up with Nabers as a New York Giant. I also like what he said right here. Quote, I feel like, the media tries to portray him to be like a big selfish guy. But I don't think that's what it is. I think he just, is real passionate about the game, and he wants to win. And when you're not doing that week after week after week, you're not getting the ball. That's every receiver, to be honest with you. Travis Hunter, gets mad when I don't get him the ball. You just got to know how to deal with different types of receivers. So that's what I like about him. He's passionate about the game. He's passionate about, and he knows what he wants, and he's excelling. He's doing what he's got to do, and I know he's going to shine very soon. Well, how do you know that, Shedeur? How do you know that Malik Nabers is going to shine here pretty soon? Maybe because you'll be throwing him the football. I honestly think like Shedeur is already speaking like a franchise quarterback. I love the quotes that he gave there. I feel like he's a very calculated thinker, a calculated speaker. I feel like he articulates himself well, and he's only going to say things that he knows is going to receive and really create the type of reaction that he wants. And to be honest with you, he's 100% right about Malik Nabers. I don't think that he's handled all of the situations all too well. I think for more often than not, his heart was in the right spot for some of the hiccups this year, but I think they could have easily been avoided with the same message being sent. And I honestly think that Malik Nabers is handling the media better as the weeks have gone on and as he becomes more familiar and more comfortable with that microphone in front of his face. He was asked multiple times about his link up with Shedeur Sanders. He declined to comment. He's declined to comment about any of the future quarterbacks, saying, I'm just worried about what we got going on right now. I don't know what the front office wants to do. I'm just going to do my job and play football. We did break down a report yesterday where Deion Sanders said if the New York Giants have the number 1 overall pick, it will be Shedeur Sanders wearing a white NY on a blue helmet next year. Malik was asked about that yesterday, and he said, Deion is very confident in his son, but that's something upstairs that they've got to do. And that is the perfect reaction. That is the perfect response. You don't want to pour any more gasoline on this fire while there still are 3 more games to be played in this season. Let the process unfold, and don't give the media anything to talk about that might be a distraction for the remainder of the year, even though at this point nothing can distract us from the limited amount of wins the New York Giants have. Seriously, though, this might be your 1-2 punch for the foreseeable future, and this is something that I can get behind. I have Shedeur Sanders as my QB2 in this class, and to be honest with you, a couple of months ago, I wasn't really a fan of his. I thought, like, when you're far out from looking, it's easy to, I would say, pencil him into a box of being a selfish guy who's more about the glitz and glamour than what happens in between the white lines. And as you guys always think I do, I have flipped and I have flopped, and I actually am a fan of Shedeur Sanders, and I'd like to see these two guys leading a New York Giants offense, hopefully for the foreseeable future, at a high level. If you're with me and you want to see Shedeur Sanders as a Giant, hit that thumbs up icon. I want to take the pulse of everybody watching. Let me know, like the video. All right, coming up next, I do want to talk a little bit about the game that is going on this week between the New York Giants and the Atlanta Falcons. We've got injury updates on Nabers as well as Brian Burns, who has not practiced this week. So stick around and make sure you are hooked up with our proud sponsor, Z-Biotics. Shout out to them. Use that promo code ChatSports when you scan that QR code, and you're going to get 15% off your first order. Shout out to Z-Biotics for sponsoring today's show. Anyone who may not bounce back after a night of drinking as well as they used to should listen up. Let's face it, when going out, I have to make a choice. I can either have a great night or a great next day. That is until I found Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol. Pre-Alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to drink this probiotic before drinking alcohol. Drink responsibly and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. So stay in the loop and go to zbiotics.com/chatsports or scan the QR code on the screen right now to get 15% off your first order. From Thanksgiving feasts to New Year's Eve celebrations, this holiday season is packed with events, but don't let the festivities leave you feeling less than merry. Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic can help you savor the night and seize the next day. Remember, head to zbiotics.com/chatsports and use the code chatsports at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, Z-Biotics, for sponsoring this episode and our good times. All righty. The injury report for the New York Giants, it is a long one. Yet again, it looks like a CVS receipt as it did last week. But we did get some good news. 6 people that were not practicing for the New York Giants this week did get upgraded to full participants or limited participants. Let's start, though, with the Atlanta Falcons and really what we're going to be seeing from them. If you've been living under a rock, it's going to be Michael Penix Jr. under center for the first time in his NFL career, going to be making his NFL debut. Kirk Cousins has been benched. Michael Penix will start, and I think this injects some juice into this football game. As we know, Penix was the number 8 overall pick in the NFL draft. A lot of shockwaves were created once he was selected, and the New York Giants, they passed on selecting him with a major need at the quarterback position. So I don't think it would be the best thing in the world if Penix in his first game as a Falcon goes out and tears you up when you had the opportunity to select him. Also, another QB change for the New York Giants. It is not going to be Tommy DeVito. Unfortunately, it's not going to be Tim Boyle, who I thought was slinging the pill last Sunday. It's actually going to be Drew Lock back under center. He is back from injury, and he is going to play. So Drew Lock will be your starting quarterback. Unsure at this point who is going to be QB2 between DeVito or Tim Boyle, as DeVito is still limited in practice. Players that did not participate in practice for the New York Giants on Thursday include superstar edge rusher Brian Burns. He's been nursing an ankle, a knee, a hip, a quad all season long. but he continues to go out there and play, and he continues to go out there to produce. He has quickly become one of my most respected players on this team. A guy that's all about ball, and he's just going to do what he has to do to get out there and play. Patrick Johnson did not practice dealing with a knee. Bobby Okereke has missed 2 games in a row. Do not see him playing this week with a back injury. Aaron Stinney, a concussion. He was your starting left guard last week. TBD who's going to be at that spot. Maybe it's the rookie UDFA Jake Kubis and Greg Stroman, the guy that's been up and down for the practice squad this year. He also did not participate with a shoulder and a shin injury. Limited participants at practice. Deonte Banks has missed the last 3 games due to a rib injury. He's been limited for the past couple of weeks, so unsure if he's going to be able to play. Tommy DeVito is still working back from that concussion. Did a little bit more on the practice field today, so he might be in line to be that QB2. Cordell Flott is dealing with a quad and a finger. Art Green, a shoulder. Rakeem Nunez Rocha, shout to Nacho, a neck and shoulder injury. Drew Phillips dealing with a shoulder of his own. John Michael Schmitz, an ankle. And Tyrone Tracy Jr., he's also dealing with an ankles. Guys that were not participating in practice in full this week that did end up doing so on Thursday include Dane Belton. He's getting healthier by the day, dealing with a knee. Corey Durden, a guy that's recently been added to the team due to the injuries they face, a shoulder. Drew Lockman dealing with a heel and a left elbow. Chris Manhertz, an ankle. Nabers, a knee and a foot. And Wan'Dale Robinson, a shoulder. I just want to close today's show talking about Nabers. We talked about him at the top of the show. He was back at practice in full, going to be able to give it a go this Sunday. And if the New York Giants are going to have any chance to beat the Atlanta Falcons, they need to create explosive plays on offense. And as we know, Nabers is the best explosive playmaker that this team has. And I know the Giants have been really uninteresting and really boring, and it's kind of put a damper on the awesome season that Malik Nabers has had. The guy has 90 receptions this year, the 4th most in the National Football League. He's got the 2nd most targets. This also factors in with him missing a couple of games because of that concussion. He's on pace to have well over 1,000 yards this year, and he's doing that with 4 different quarterbacks. I mean, he's done it with Daniel Jones, Tommy DeVito, Drew Lock, and Tim Boyle. A lot of people questioned if this guy could be QB-proof, and it looks like to me that he is. An unbelievable year so far for him. I want to see him get in the paint this end zone. Throw it up and let Nabers go get it. Show him some love. Type those leaks down in the comment section. One of the only things that really gets me fired up about watching this team every Sunday is the way that this guy can make explosive plays. And I want to see him heat up and end the season on a good note. So show him some love down in the comment section. And if you haven't yet, give me a follow over on Twitter. I would greatly appreciate it. At @MarshallGreen_. I'm also on Instagram posting short form Giants content over there. So if that's what you're looking for, give me a follow and let's go Big Blue.